so what is going on, everybody? I'm back with another YouTube video. In today's video, guys, I wanted to get this video out quick today before I go on to vacation tomorrow. And just a quick reminder, I will not be back from vacation until Tuesday, the 27th of July, in which I probably won't make a video that day because I'm going to be watching a bunch of shows that I have to catch back up on and stuff like that. So, I'll probably be busy for the following days after. So I probably won't make a video till the weekend or something like that, but I would like to get back to streaming or something like that, with Dead by Daylight and stuff like that. But I figured I would make this quick video, and the video is probably going to be a bit long in length, 10-15 minutes, I would hope. But I figured I would do my DVD discussion videos like this now, kind of like how Scott Junn does it, not how Darva does it, because it's much, much more feasible. I get to focus on one thing, and it's more enjoyable for you guys because you don't have to sit through a 2-hour video. I mean, personally, I would do that because I watch Darva. I know his videos are super, super long, but I know for some of the people on the channel, they're not a big fan of that. So this also leaves opportunity for many, many DVD discussion videos that I can do in the future and stuff like that. So, yeah, this video will give you a good idea of how it's going to go down. And this is probably the easiest DVD discussion video I could do because I've had this idea in mind for a while, and I haven't really I've already had thought about everything that I'm going to change with the clown, including his perks as well. I'm going to discuss what I would do to change some of his perks that are kind of in the lower end of the spectrum. And some of Kate's perks as well, since she's also a part of the Curtain Call chapter. So this is kind of how I'm going to be doing this stuff. If, like, suggested buffs for killers, I'm also going to be basically including the whole chapter. So the survivor that comes with them, their perks, their power, everything like that. So, where do I begin with Clown? So, obviously they made a buff to Clown. In February or January, they brought out the PTB for the mid-chapter update. Everybody was excited for this buff. I thought that the buff, when I saw it, the only thing that really was satisfying for me was the reloading speed. That was really nice. He wasn't as add-on dependent, especially for reload speed add-ons. But now he seems to be more add-on dependent. The negative thing that came with that, he seems to be more add-on dependent for having more bottles in his kit. Because if you have a yellow bottle and a purple bottle and you like to use those in combination, your bottles are going to run out pretty quick during chase. And there's no guarantee that when you use the bottle for the first time, it's going to be effective. You may have to use it 1 or 2 times. So, here's what I would do to change Clown. The first simple thing that I would do is I would bring up his base amount of bottles that he has in chase from 4 to 5. That way he's a little less dependent on having more bottles. I know that maybe for some people this isn't a big problem for them, like having a low amount of bottles. But I always found this a problem, especially with the yellow bottle coming in, and I do use it occasionally during the game. And even though his reload speed is faster, if you're doing that a lot more often than you initially did before the buff, I mean, what difference does it really make? So I think his base kit, he should have 5 bottles, and keep the add-ons that change the amount of bottles that he gets the same. People can go over the top with those. I don't really care. So that's the first change I would make. The second change I would make. The thing that I realized about the yellow bottle is it can be effective, but I always perceived Clown as a killer that is easy for beginner players to catch on to, because he's an anti-loop killer that doesn't really require a whole lot of skill to be able to stop someone in chase. Assuming that the survivors that you're going against aren't so good, they're at the same skill level basically as you are, and obviously the more you play Clown, the better you become at him. So I want to make Clown a killer that is just a very simple killer for beginners to learn, and for higher tier or higher skilled players that play Clown, they can try to use Clown to his fullest potential and make him very, very scary in chase. And I know a lot of people thought the yellow bottle as something for the Clown to get around the map faster and stuff like that, and having him more mobile. I've heard a lot of people in the community talk about how some of these killers that are really good in the 1v1 chase, they need something to help them with getting around the map quickly. So maybe we should just give them a big speed boost, or something like that. I just think that's very illogical in the game, and not every killer is designed to be, super mobile. Every killer has their own hitch. Every killer has their own thing that they're really good at, and that's what makes them unique. Not every killer needs to be a top tier killer. Um, some killers are just going to be better than others, and there's nothing you can really do about that. So I want to make his chase even better than it already is, and make the mobility a little bit better with the speed bottles. So here's what I would do with the speed bottles. So obviously we know when you throw down the speed bottle, it takes 2.5 seconds before the speed bottle works. And I do not like that. Because although it can help, like let's say you break a pallet, you throw the bottle down, you don't immediately get the speed boost, which is actually nice because you don't want it to happen right away. You want to have the speed boost as long as possible. But I don't really want him to be using the speed boost exclusively for chase. Or exclusively for getting around the map faster. I want it to be better during chase. And what a lot of people have failed to realize is the speed bottles are a lot more effective if you use them in combination with the purple bottle during chase, if you know what you're doing. But they're pretty hard to use in chase. And I want them to be a little bit easier to use in chase. So I would take out the 2.5 seconds that it takes to start the yellow bottle. That way it's a little bit easier in chase. I would also increase the speed that you get from the bottle from 10 to 15%, so it's equivalent to the purple bottle. And the last change I would make to the speed bottle is make it so that it does not affect the survivors. I kind of like that because the yellow bottle affects the killer, the purple bottle affects the survivor. And, that's a nice balance. I know, obviously, it's not really balanced because the survivor's getting punished for the purple bottle, but I hope that makes sense to you. So that's what I would do to his power, and I think that would make him a lot easier to use. The yellow bottle is a lot easier to use in chase, and they would be more substantial. The numbers would be a little bit more substantial, and even if you want to get around the map quicker, the yellow bottles will be a little bit more immediate. You don't have to throw it far ahead of you. You can throw it right down, and boom, you get the speed boost. And the speed boost is, of course, a little bit more, so you can get around the map a little bit quicker. But the main thing that I wanted to focus on is making him even better in chase, because there are some killers that are a lot better anti-loopers than Clown. But I think this would make him a really, really good anti-looper in the game. He'd be very scary in chase, and I think it would at least bring him up, hopefully, a tier. I know some people still have him in the D tier. I have him in, like, the low C tier right now. So I would like to see this killer get into the B tier, hopefully after the buff, if they ever decide to make a buff like this. He definitely needs to get touched on again. I don't think the buff was significant enough. It was just another quick fix for the game. But other than that, things outside of his power that I would change. If they ever decide to do a buff, I would still like them to touch on some of the add-ons that are kind of bad. They did, actually, for this chapter fix, for the Clown, when they buffed the Clown, they did a pretty good job at making all of his add-ons pretty good. There's a few of them that are still a little mediocre, so I would touch on them as well. And I wish they would have touched, the one thing that they missed is I wish they would have touched on his perks during the buff, specifically Colorophobia. So we all know how Colorophobia works. Obviously, when the survivors are in your terror radius, they get a 50% penalty to healing. It's not the numbers that are the problem. It's the way that survivors act that's makes this perk just not really work. So here's what I would do to change Colorophobia. While the survivors are in your terror radius, they still get that penalty. But if they decide to stop healing, the healing bar of the survivor that they're healing will go back to 0. Now, of course, you'd probably have to change the numbers a little bit, make them a little bit less significant. Probably make it like sloppy butcher numbers, like 20% or something like that, so that the survivors, so that it's not like super ridiculous. Obviously, it's going to require a little bit of testing. But this would make it so that Colorophobia is kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. and it would make it so that survivors can't just stop healing, and this perk just doesn't really work. Now, although it's good for the survivors to heal in your tear radius, they're just going to stop doing it if they see coulrophobia. So, this would make it very, very hard for the survivors to heal. If you combine this perk with thanatophobia, it could be very punishing. You could probably get lots of value out of thanatophobia. So I think that would be a good change to coulrophobia. Tell me what you think about that. And the next thing that I want to talk about, this is just a quick touch. When they changed Pop Goes the Weasel, all the way back after the Blight chapter and the mid-chapter update, when they changed Pop Goes the Weasel, I always wish that instead of reducing the amount of time that Pop Goes the Weasel lasts, I wish they made it so that during that 60-second duration, if you hook another survivor, Pop does not replenish. I thought this was always a better change than just reducing the time, because the nice thing about Pop Goes the Weasel, when it had the 60 seconds, it's still very convenient right now with the 45 seconds, but the nice thing with the 60 seconds is it was very, very convenient. You hook a survivor and you get rewarded greatly for it. You can go chase another survivor for a little bit, get a hit out of them, maybe even down them, then damage the gen, then hook them. And with the change that I made, they wouldn't get replenish of Pop Goes the Weasel again, because they already just got rewarded. So I don't think it's fair that they get rewarded a second time after having all that convenience that they had. So I would make it so that during that 60-second duration, if you hook another survivor, this perk does not replenish the 60 seconds. I know that you already kick a gen, and when you kick a gen, this perk deactivates, so it only makes sense that you hook another survivor and it activates again. Or if you don't decide to kick the generator at all, and you hook another survivor, you still get back those seconds. I just always thought that didn't really need to be in there. I know this is a common thing throughout all the perks. I don't really mind the 45-second change. I know a lot of people liked it, but personally, that's what I would have done with it. I know it's a bit of a weird change. Probably not a lot of people are going to agree with me. I'm not going to touch on that too much. But the last thing that I want to talk about is, obviously, like I said, we're talking about the whole Curtain Call chapter, so I'd just like to touch on Boil Over real quick. The way that I would change Boil Over is I would reduce the amount of time it takes to wiggle out from 16 seconds. I would reduce it by 4 seconds down to 12 seconds, so it would be a 25% difference. So it would make your wiggle speed 25% faster. And they would still keep those same effects where, you sway, the struggling effects are still pretty high, are for the most part the same numbers. You might want to reduce them a little bit so that this perk isn't like super, super crazy. Reduce the numbers of like the struggling effects from 75% to like, 50% or something like that. You don't want to make it completely insignificant, but you don't want to make it too high either. So that's the thing that I would touch on for Boil Over, and I think that's all I really have to say for all the perks in, well, except Windows of Opportunity, quick fix, just like they did with Zanchin Tactics, although when I get onto the Oni and stuff like that, I will talk about the changes that I want to Zanchin Tactics. But Windows of Opportunity, this perk should always be active, just like they did with Zanchin Tactics, and make it so that you get to choose when you want to activate this perk. I'm going to have a similar change to Zanchin Tactics when I do a video on that. But make it so that it can always be active, but you get to choose when you want to activate Windows of Opportunity. Like, there's a button you get to push to activate Windows of Opportunity. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to touch on for the Curtain Call chapter, mainly the clown, of course. Tell me what you think about the changes down below. I will see you guys in about a week when I'm finally done with my vacation and some other stuff that I'm going to be doing down there. It's not just going to be vacation. But yeah, I'll see you guys in a little over a week when I finally get back to making videos and stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you next time.